Okay guys, so this video is going to talk about integer subtraction. And this is the first type of problem, so the easiest type of problem that you're going to see with subtracting integers. So there's a couple of ways that you can solve these questions. One's a more mental way of thinking, and one's really showing you how to actually do it, I guess on paper, or actually physically writing it out. So I'm going to start with the one that's a little bit more mental. So first thing I need you to do is identify your positive and your negative numbers. So I have 4 minus 9, and then so that's a negative, and that's a negative. Okay, so this is really just sort of visually so you see the thinking that goes behind this. So let's say that what sort of a mental way of thinking about this is a lot of people understand these concepts more when it has to deal with money. So let's say you start with a certain number. So I'm going to start with 4. So let's say I have $4 in my bank account. I have $4 in my wallet, something like that. So I have $4 in my bank account, right? And I owe someone $9. So I owe more than I actually have. So if I could give $4, the $4 I do have to that person, right? How much more money would I owe them? Okay, and a lot of people, they say, oh, well, I would owe $5 more to someone. Okay, so they would say, okay, -5. So a lot of people, they get it automatically when they hear that. Okay, so another example would be, all right, I owe $5. So let's say I owe my mom $5. Okay, and then I owe my dad $5. Altogether, I owe them how much money? And you would say, okay, well, I owe them 5 and I owe them 5. Altogether, that's $10. So I owe $10. I better ask grandma or whoever else that could give me money, right? So this is one way that a lot of people think about these questions, and it makes a lot of sense to them. So if this works for you, run with it. It was really hard for me to think about these questions until I started thinking about them in aspects of money, because a lot of people, it just makes more sense that way for them. Okay, now, for the people that need to actually take the time to write it out, this is what I will suggest to you. So, again, let me highlight my negative numbers here. You're going to start with the number that you have, right? So let's say I have the number 4. I would find number 4 on my number line. So I have a number line in my classroom. If you need to stare and look at it or physically move around the room within distance of everyone else, that is fine. But if you just need to write it out, go for it. So you start at 4, right? Because that is the first number that you have there. Okay. Now, if you're going positive, if you're adding something, you're going to get bigger. You're going to go to the right. But if you're subtracting, let me put this in a different color. If subtracting, you're going to go to the left. Okay, so I have my 4. I started with that. And then I looked at my next one, which is -9. So I'm going to go physically take my 4 and I'm going to move it 9 spaces over. So I'm going to start at 4. I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now, I moved my spot from 4 to 9. Really make sure you do those hops, because some people, they go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they get thrown off. So, I would suggest always making sure that you, if you're going to do it this way, to really just make sure you're making the hops very clear and not too jumbled together. So, you end at -5. So, the first answer to this is -5. Okay? So if you need to do that way, don't say, oh, that's a baby way of doing it. Who cares? If that's what you think of it, then that's what you think of it. But the answer is going to be right. Oh, well. So the next question, -5. I start at -5. Okay? Let me make that red. Okay? And then I say, okay, well, how far do I go? I'm going negative, and negative is to the left, remember? So what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, well, I go left 5. Okay, so I'm going to go left 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that lands me at -10. Okay, so those are 2 ways that you can either think about it or physically write it out. If either of those ways work for you, that's great, run with it. If you still don't understand it and need a little bit more help or another example or want another question to practice with, let me know.